This video is only part of an unbiased, in-depth review, so check out the rest in the link below at thegoodride.com. Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and sometimes I like to take a trip back through time into the day of full-on raging camber, like you see with the Custom and the Custom X next to it here. And next to that is the Burton Territory Manager, which is kind of a combo between the Custom and the Hometown Hero, but not full-on camber like the Customs you see next to it. This is directional camber. Years ago, the Burton Custom changed my life, and it's one of the reasons why I'm here talking before you today. I demoed this after riding the same board for years, and it just blew my mind how different it rode than the GNU Carbon Kai Beam I had at the time, which I loved, but it was much more directional back then. It was just such a different, fun turning experience that it set me on a tear, and I just started riding board after board. And finally, I realized, the light bulb went on, that I've ridden all these boards. I might as well talk about them, and that's why I'm here now. So thanks, Custom. I rode this primarily with my Burton Kendos and Union Atlas, but I did get some time with the Burton Genesis Step-On and the Burton Photon Step-On as well. I often compared this same day to the Territory Manager and Deep Thinker as well, and of course the Custom X. I'll be primarily talking about the Custom X and the Custom and referencing the Territory Manager, and I won't be talking about the Deep Thinker because that's a much different board, much more softer, much more playful, much more directional. And to give you a short summary, it was a great board before I tried it in the early O's, almost 20 years ago now, and it's still a great board now. It used to be the pinnacle of one board quiver, kind of all mountain, perfect ride. Now it's more of a quiver ride that is still amazing when it comes to having great pop on an ollie. One of the best flexes in the business, some of the most energy underfoot I've experienced in years. It just has spring. That's what this is all about. But it's technical, it's catchy. It's more for expert riders and just full-on rippers who know how to recover. The Custom X is a lighter, poppier version of the Custom, not as aggressive and gnarly as the old Custom X I used to ride in the O's too. And the Territory Manager is more of the everyman's ride because it's a more versatile one-board quiver. It has taper where the Customs don't, and it has directional camber, so it's a little easier in powder. But this Custom and Custom X just still kill it in so many ways. Now, when it comes to sizing, this 56 Custom, 58 Custom X, and 54 Territory Manager all fit my size 9 Burton boots really well. All three of them did not fit my 185 to 195 pounds first thing in the morning after a steamy piss in my underwear. That's an overshare, and I'm willing to do that for you guys. But I think this would be better for somebody who's 160, 165. That's where these boards are gonna come alive, and I just felt they were a little too bucky and bouncy for my weight. So if you're 5'10" like me and a size 9 boot, but you weigh a lot less, these might be a really good fit. So when it comes to shape, this is directional, but just barely. It's almost a directional twin, and it really feels centered. It really feels good between the feet. Conversely though, it's going to be catchy, and it's definitely more catchy than the Territory Manager, which is pretty locked in because that's mostly camber with just a little bit of early rise before the nose. But still, in same day riding, same boots, same bindings, same conditions, the Territory Manager just felt more forgiving, even though it's not that forgiving. So that just tells you where these are. Not an easy board to get off your game and skid your turns. It's more for really strong, advanced riders, and mainly for expert riders to just full-on rippers. The Territory Manager is more for let's say a strong technical intermediate, but mainly for advanced to expert riders. It's a trade-off though between all this pop, all this cheddar you see right here, and a little bit of extra float and a little bit more forgiveness. Now, when it comes to edge hold, all three of these boards just let go a little too early for my taste when I hit hard patches, especially in comparison to other boards I tested them against. And just throughout all the Burton line, I always find that directional camber and full camber just lets go a little easier than many of their peers. But when the conditions are good, the edge hold feels great. So it just starts to fall apart when it gets snow minty. But if you know how to really engage your edge and twist into that and get it to grip, you'll be fine. So let's talk flex here. You've got a medium flex almost throughout. It feels pretty consistent. And overall, it just has this pop to it that's unreal. What's even crazier is the Burton Custom X is lighter and more poppy and a little more stiff than the regular Custom. And it just has this crazy return. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like this. Now, the Territory Manager has great pop too, and a flex similar to the Custom. It feels a touch more directional in flex too. Going from the Custom to the Custom X, I just didn't think it could get any better, and then it did. Now the Territory Manager, not quite there with the Custom and Custom X, but no slouch. And for me, it's a worthwhile compromise to sacrifice a little bit of that pop for more float and a more forgiving ride. And what's interesting is I could butter the Custom okay, but it's more work than you would think for its flex because the tip and tail have camber there. You don't have any easy leverage points. You have to work to get that camber to bend there, where most have rocker there or rocker in the middle to help give you some leverage to start. So buttering on traditional camber is a beautiful thing to watch, but hard as hell to do. So hats off to you rippers who do that. Now, when it comes to uneven snow, all this pop definitely feels more bucky and bouncy. I wish I had sized up to like the 58 or even the 60 in this board. I wanted to go a little bit smaller. In the past, that worked for me, but this newer construction is just a little too bucky and bouncy for my weight. You definitely need to be a lighter rider, and then it'll be better. But overall, they were a little bucky and bouncy in messy, uneven snow. And oftentimes I lost my line trying to carve through soft micro bumpy snow. Hard micro bumpy snow, it had some feedback, but it didn't get cranky. It bucked me a little bit, but it didn't feel uncomfortable. So when it comes to speed and base glide, they all had really good base glide. Nothing really to complain about here. Not amazing, but what I've discovered recently, the last few years, is it's best to use high-end Burton wax with the new bases that are more eco-friendly. They're a little more fickle. The old Burton bases used to just take any kind of wax. Nowadays, you want to wax it once or twice, really get it in there, wax it once, scrape it, wax it another time, scrape it, and then go ride it. That seems to make it work a lot better. And if it doesn't work for you after that, then maybe go get a base grind and then it should be good to go. When it comes to pointing it, surprisingly enough, the Territory Manager was my favorite out of the three of these, but none of these are straight liners, powerful, big, down the line kind of rides. And again, I was just too heavy for these rides. They chattered a little too much for me on an aggressive straight line if I ever did one. But they're not bad. Not bad, and if you're a lighter rider, which you should be for these boards, that'll be good. Now, when it comes to turn initiation and the turning experience and carving, I just love these boards. They just go quick edge to edge. I just don't feel like it's much work. It's like medium fast to fast. Even if I sized up one or two sizes, it would be fine. And then when you get it over on edge, and especially so if you're close to the reference stance. I just feel like I'm standing on two springs. It has this turning experience that is a little more on the turny side, but still pretty balanced. But whenever I weight into a turn hard and I'm going to any kind of carve, you just feel that those springs come down and then the springs pop out. I can do that front foot, but I really enjoyed trying to center weight carve with this, and I was having a time. Same with the Custom X. These both just shine over the Territory Manager in terms of the turning experience, and the Territory Manager is an excellent board for turning. But the Custom, it just, even going back to the old days when it was more directional, it used to just feel like it was cheating on the turn with you and helping you just get more spring and drive out of the turn. And that's still true today, even though it's more of a directional twin-ish style ride versus its old directional shape. It's still just an amazing turning experience. There's not much else out there like it. Light, poppy, dynamic, and springy. And when it comes to powder, feels like it's the opposite of turning. This time around, I didn't have time for powder with the Custom. I only took out the Custom X with a 21.75 inch stance width set all the way back. You can get negative 3.125 inches back from center of board. In comparison to the Custom X, you can get negative 2.5 inches back on board at a 23 inch stance width. So yeah, hindsight's 2020. I should have checked the setback on board and taken out the regular Custom. That would have been a little better. But let me put it to you this way. It's still camber. So even though you've got that extra setback on board compared to many all mountain boards, this just doesn't have that easy directional float. 10 times out of 10, I'd rather be on the Territory Manager, and that's not even that great compared to many family tree boards. So it just felt so much easier in powder than the Custom X 158 did. I'll give 4 centimeters for all that other jazz there. So unless you know how to rip powder with camber, get another ride for those deep days. Now when it comes to switch riding and park, this softer flex, it's a little energetic, a little sketchy for me to want to jib with, but hitting medium-sized to massive kickers, if I sized up correctly, this would be super fun. And as long as the pipe walls aren't super icy hard, this would be amazing in pipe. It just has so much spring and drive and that quicker turn initiation that I like in half pipes. Still, I think I'd prefer the Territory Manager because it's just a little more forgiving, a little more mellow. But when I'm feeling mentally and physically good, the Custom X and Custom are two really fun boards to ride in the pipe. So overall, the Custom isn't what it used to be. It's not this just perfect one board quiver killer. I think the Territory Manager is closer to that, and other than edge hold, catchy nature, and float and powder, this is just such an amazing board to get air with and to turn with. It just has this jizz in your pants, taint tickling kind of feel underfoot when you turn that might be worth it for you if you're okay with all the drawbacks I just mentioned. All our reviews are a best effort, objective opinion from an average rider's perspective. There's no brand oversight, and we are free to say whatever we want. We send back almost everything unless it's a favorite. Then we ask to keep those or straight up buy them. Now, if you want to support us, and if what we reviewed appeals to you, it always helps us if you buy through the links or just donate in one of the ways linked below. Of course, a like and subscribe here always helps, and so does a follow on Insta. And as always, thanks for watching and thanks for your support. If you need advice, fill out the eHarmony profile in the Contact Us link below so I can help you properly. This is very time consuming for me, so please consider donating. I also get a lot of these emails, so it can take me a while to respond, especially during the winter. Now, if you want to ask advice on YouTube, that's fine. Just tell me your boot size, which is incredibly important, your weight, your height, your riding style, and your ability level. If you can tell me what mountains you mainly ride or plan to ride, the board, boot, and bindings you ride now or have ridden in the past, that's very helpful as well. If I can't get this information, it's very hard for me to help you.